Okay, this is June 2018 intermediate paper. This is Unit 2, so the calculated paper. I'm just going through the solutions for questions 10 to 18. So question 10, a box contains many discs identical in shape and size. A picture of one of the 4 Welsh castles is printed on each disc. A disc is chosen at random from the box. Complete the table below to find the probability of choosing a disc showing Dynefyr Castle. So you should know that probabilities will always add up to 1. So if we add up the probabilities that were already given and then take them away from 1, that should give us the probability of Dynefyr Castle. So 0.36 plus 0.12 plus 0.24. If you add those up, that gives me an answer of 0.72. And if I take that away from 1 using my calculator, I get an answer of 0.28. Okay, in part B, it says in the box there were 522 discs showing a picture of Carnarvon Castle. How many of the discs showed a picture of Harlech Castle? So the probability for Carnarvon Castle is 0.36, and that gives us 522 discs. So the probability for Harlech Castle, as you can see from the table, is 0.12. We should be able to see that 0.36 divided by 3 gives me 0.12. So if I'm dividing that by 3, I can do the same to this side here. And that gives me an answer, 522 divided by 3 gives me an answer of 174, which again you can do on your calculator. Okay, question 11, you can just put that straight into your calculator, so I'll show you what you need to type in now. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is to press your fraction button, and then on top I've got 145.3, and if I use my cursor key to go down to the bottom box, then I need to open my brackets, type in 12.4, take away 9.8, close my brackets, then I need to do the power of 3, so I can either press the Q button or the power of button and type in 3. Then if I press equals, it will give me an answer of 8.266954939, but it does ask you to give your answer to 3 significant figures. So a significant figure is the first non-zero digit that you come to, starting from the left hand side of a number. So my first significant figure is the 8. Then my 2 is my second significant figure, so 6 is my third significant figure, so I'm going to round it at this point here. So my answer is either going to be 8.26 or 8.27, depending on what this digit is here. Because it's 5 or above, that means I'm going to round up, so it's going to be 8.27. Okay, calculate the reciprocal of 47. Well, the technical term for reciprocal is what you need to multiply 47 by to make a 1, to make the answer 1. But there's actually a reciprocal button on your calculator which you can use for this. So if I just type in 47 on my calculator, and the reciprocal button looks like this, it's got an X with a little -1 up in the air, and if we press that button there and then press equals, that will give us the reciprocal, which is 1 over 47. If I press the SD button, that will change it into a decimal for me, so that gives me 0.02127655, and that goes on forever. But you are supposed to give your answer to 4 decimal places, so if I'm going to round it to 4 decimal places, there's my first decimal place, second, third, fourth, so I'm going to round it at this point. So my answer is going to be 0.0212 or 0.0213, depending on this digit. Again, because it's greater than 5, or it's 5 or greater, then I'm going to round it up. So my final answer is going to be 0.0213. Okay. Question 12, it says circle the correct answer. So A, which of the following values cannot be an external angle of a regular polygon? You should know that the external angles of a regular polygon will always add up to 360 degrees. So each one of these must divide into 360 degrees exactly if it is an angle of a regular polygon. So all we need to really do is try 360 divided by 10. That gives me a whole number, so 36 at 10 can be a external angle. Do 360 divided by 18. That gives me a whole number, 20, so that's okay. 360 divided by 30, that gives me an answer of 12, so that's okay. If I do 360 divided by 48, that gives me an answer of 15/2, or 7.5. So that doesn't divide exactly into 360. So 48 cannot be an external angle of a regular polygon. Okay, part B, it says an arrow on a spinner is facing north. It's turned clockwise through an angle of 1530 degrees. In which direction will the arrow now be facing? So if you just remember your compass points, north, it always points up the page. And then we've got never eat shredded wheat. Okay, so if we've got a spinner which is pointing north, and it's going to turn clockwise, so it's going to be going this way, same way that a clock hand goes. If I turn it through one complete turn, that's 360 degrees. One complete turn is going to take me back to the start. If I do another one, another 360 degrees, I'm going to go back to the start, so that's going to be 720. Then if I do another angle, I'm going to go back to the start, that's another 360 degrees, which is going to be 1080 degrees. If I do another complete turn, that's going to be another 360 degrees, so that's going to be 1440 degrees. Now I need to go another 90 degrees to get 1530, because 1440 plus 90 gives me 1530. So if I'm back facing north and then I go 90 degrees, I'm going to be facing in that direction, which is east. Okay, last question, C. Point A is on a bearing of 100 degrees from point B. What is the bearing of point B from point A? So if we make a sketch first of all of what we've been told, point A is on a bearing of 100 degrees from point B. So we need to start with a letter that comes after the word from, because we're measuring from that point. So we've got B there. Bearings are always taken from the north in a clockwise direction. So we're going to be going around 100 degrees. This is just a sketch. So that's 100 degrees, and that would be point A. What we have to do is work out what the bearing of B is from A. So we need to measure from A. So if I draw a north line on A, and I'm measuring a clockwise direction around there, I need to know that angle there. Well, you should know, because I've got two parallel lines here, that this angle here and this angle here, they're interior angles, because we've got two parallel lines and they add up to 180 degrees. So that angle there is going to be 80. And then we've got angles around the point here which add up to 360. So this angle here must be 280 degrees, because 280 and 80 makes 360. So my answer is 280. Okay. Question 13 is a solution of the equation x cubed minus 7x minus 51 equals 0 lies between 4 and 5. Use the method of trial improvement to find the solution correct to one decimal place. You must show your working. Okay, so trial improvement basically means we trial a value of x and then we improve on our answer. And probably the best way to answer this question is to draw a table with 3 columns. Make the middle column nice and big, because that's where we do our workings out. The first column is my x, that's my trial, my guess, my value for x. The middle column is going to be the workings out, so that's going to be my x cubed minus 7x minus 51. And then in the last column we decide whether the result is too big or too small. So it tells us that an answer lies between 4 and 5, so if we start right in the middle, we can start anywhere between 4 and 5, but if we start in the middle we should get our answer a bit quicker than if we just pick any old number. So all I need to do is, if I replace the letter x for a set of brackets and the value 4.5, and then type that exactly as it is into your calculator will work it out for you. So everywhere I see an x, I put a set of brackets and the number 4.5. If I just work that out on my calculator, I've got open bracket 4.5, close bracket, press the Q button, minus 7, open bracket 4.5, close bracket, minus 51. And that gives me 69/8, but if I press the SD button, then I will change it to a decimal for me. So I've got 8.625. Well, I should get an answer of 0, so this is a little bit too big. So I know that 4.5 is too big, so I need to try something a little bit smaller, so maybe I'll go for 4.3. I do exactly the same thing again, replace the x's for a set of brackets and 4.3. Working that on my calculator, open bracket, 4.3, close bracket, cubed, minus 7, open bracket, 4.3, close my bracket, minus 51. That gives me an answer of minus 1.593. So as it's negative, it's slightly less than 0, so that was too small. So I'm going to try a number now between 4.3 and 4.5. So 4.4, do the same thing again. Okay, that gives me an answer of 3.384, which if I compare that with the answer I should be getting, that is slightly too big. So I've got to give my answer to 1 decimal place. So both of these answers, the small one and the big one, are to 1 decimal place. And basically my answer is the one that's closest to 0. So this one is closest to 0 because that's like just over 1.5 away, whereas this is 3.384 away. So my answer is going to be 4.3. But you have to show the examiner why it is 4.3. So you have to pick the one in the middle. Do the same thing again. So 4.35 cubed minus 7 times 4.35, close my bracket, minus 51. And that gives me an answer of 0.86287. 862.875, which if I compare, that's slightly too big. So that means that 4.35 is too big, 4.3 is too small. So my answer has got to lie, if I just show that on a number line. This is 4.3, this is 4.4, 4.35 would be there. So if 4.3 is too small, 4.35 is too big, my number has to lie there. And any number that lies between there, when you round it to 1 decimal place, will go to 4.3. If you don't really understand that, narrow it down to 2 consecutive numbers a decimal place apart, like 4.3 and 4.4, where one's too big, one's too small. And then pick the one which is closest to your answer, which is 4.3, and then for the extra mark, work out the one in the middle. Okay, question 14, it says the highest common factor of 30 and 75 is the square root of a number. What is the number? So the first things we need to do really is to work out the highest common factor of 30 and 75. So if we go through them in order, if you start with 1 in itself and then work your way up 2, 3, 4, you won't miss any out then. So 1 times 30 gives me 30. Does 2 times a number give me 30? Yes, I can do 2 times 15. Does 3 times the number give me 30? Yes. 3 times 10. Does 4 times the number? No, because it's got to be a whole number. And then I've got 5 times 6. And then 6 times 5, I've got to repeat there so I can stop because I know I've got all my factors then. Do the same thing with 75. So I've got 1 and 75. Can I multiply 2 by a whole number to make 75? No. Can I multiply 3? Yes, I can do 3 times 25. 4, no. 5, yes, I can do 5 times 15. And that's actually all my factors of 75. So my highest common factor is the highest number which is in both of those lists, which is 15. So my highest common factor is 15. Well, it says here that the highest common factor of 30 and 75, which is 15, is the square root of a number. So the square root of a number is going to give me an answer of 15. If I think of it the other way around, if I square that number, that's going to give me the number that we're looking for. So if I work out 15 squared, that's going to give me 225. Okay, next one tells me that the cube root of 32.768 is 33 1/3% of a number. So if I just work out the cube root of 32.768 first, so to do cube root, I need to press Shift, then the square root button. It's the second function, which is above the square root button there, and the little 3 will come up on your calculator. And then if I type in 32.768, press equals, and my SD button to change it into a decimal, that gives me an answer of 3.2. So the cube root of 32.768 is 3.2. But it says then that the cube root of that, which is 32, is 33 1/3% of a number. We should know that 33 1/3% is a third. So if we use a bar model to sort of help me that, a third just means that I've got 3 equal parts, and it's telling me that one of those equal parts is 3.2. So if one of the parts is 3.2, this one must be 3.2, this one must be 3.2, and if we add all those together, that gives me an answer of 9.6. Okay, question 15, right angle triangle. There's no angles involved, so this is a straightforward Pythagoras question where I'm asked to find that side there, QR. So if we want to use Pythagoras' theorem, square both numbers, decide whether to add or subtract, and then square root the answer. So if we square both numbers first, we've got 0.89 squared and 1.41 squared. So if we work those out my calculator, 0.89 squared gives me an answer of 0.7921. 1.41 squared, that gives me an answer of 1.9881. So all we need to do now is decide whether to add or subtract. So if we're finding the longest side, the hypotenuse, which is always opposite the right angle, this side, you're the longest side, then we always add them. So I need to do 0.7921 plus 1.9881. That gives me an answer of 2.7802. And then all we need to do then is to square root the answer. The answer is already on the calculator, so if I press square root, use my previous answer, press equals, that gives me 1.66739, and if I round that, I'm going to give it to 2 decimal places because there's 2 decimal places in the question, so it's going to be 1.67 meters. So QR is 1.67 meters. Okay, question 16 is a probability tree diagram. We're told that visitors to the top of Snowdon Car can either walk up the mountain or take the mountain railway from Llanberis. On a particular day, a visit to the top of Snowdon is chosen at random. The probability the person is female is 0.42. The probability that this person took the train is 0.35. The decision to walk or take the train is independent of gender. So it doesn't matter whether you're male or female, has no difference on whether you're going to choose the train or not. So it says to complete the tree diagram. So you're told that the probability of a person being female is 0.42. Well, you should know that each pair of branches will add up to 1. So this has got to be 0.58 because 0.42 plus 0.58 will add up to 1. Then you're told that the probability a person catches the train is 0.35. And it doesn't matter whether they're female or male, so it's still going to be 0.35 for both of them. And again, each set of branches will add up to 1. So if this is 0.35, that's going to be 0.65. And this one's also going to be 0.65. Then it says for part B, person is chosen at random, receives a gift voucher. What is the probability that the person is female and travels up the mountain by train? So if we're starting at this point here, we need a female, and she needs to travel up the mountain by train. So it would be that pathway there. So as you travel along the pathways, you've got to multiply the probability because you need a female and they need to travel by train. So you're going to multiply them. So it's 0.42 times by 0.35. gives me an answer of 0.147. Okay, question 17 shows keyword shows us two shapes. It says similar. So what that means is that one shape is an enlargement of the other. So this one is so many times bigger than this one. And we have to work out how many times bigger this one is than this one. Okay, so to do that, we need to find two sides which have the two of the sides which have the lengths on them. They're called corresponding sides. There's no point in dividing that side by this side. They've got to be corresponding to each other. And that will give us the scale factor. Scale factor is just the posh way of saying how many times bigger this is compared to that shape there. So scale factor is going to be the big length there, which is 8.4, divided by the smaller length. And if you work that out in your calculator, that gives me an answer of 1.5. So that tells me this shape here is 1.5 times bigger than this shape here. And then we can use that to work out x and y. So in the first question, it's asking us to work out x. So here's x here. So the corresponding side to x will be this side here, which is 3.2. So if this side is going to be 1.5 times bigger, I just got to times that by 1.5. And 1.5 times 3.2, if you do that on your calculator, it gives me an answer of 4.8 centimeters. Okay, and then for y, we're working backwards. So instead of timesing by the scale factor, we're going from the big length down to the small. We will need to divide by the scale factor. So 6.3 divided by 1.5. And that gives me an answer of 6.3 divided by 1.5 gives me an answer of 4.2. Okay. Part C for this question says, explain clearly why the following statement cannot be true. The length of CD is 3.9 and the length of RS is 6.5. So it's saying CD is 3.9 and RS is 6.5. Well, if we divide that length by this one, that should give us a scale factor of 1.5 like we showed in part A. So if we work that out and see what happens, if I do 6.5 divided by 3.9, that actually gives me an answer of 1.6 recurring, or 1.666. Okay, so that can't be, that statement can't be true because it should be 1.5. Okay, question 18 is actually a simultaneous equation question. We've got to form the expressions first from your diagrams and then try and solve them. So the first diagram here, you've got a rectangle. It tells you that the length is 12, the width is 2x minus y, and it has an area of 72. So the area of a rectangle is length times width. So the length times the width, which would be written like this, length times the width, 2x minus y, and that's got to be equal to 72. So what you could do now is expand your brackets. So 12 times 2x gives me 24x, 12 times minus y gives me minus 12y, and that's equal to 72. So there's my first equation. The second equation I can get from this kite, you're told that the perimeter, so perimeter is the distance around the outside of the shape, and that's equal to 33. So on the kite here, I've got this side is 3x, so this side will also be 3x. That side there is y, and this side here will also be y. So I can set up another equation here because all these sides added together should give me an answer of 33. So 3x plus 3x gives me 6x plus the 2 y's. That's got to be equal to 33. Now if I just write the two equations down at the bottom here, I've got 24x minus 12y equals 72, and then I've got 6x plus 2y equals 33, and then you can solve those two equations which you are more used to seeing. So step one, it would be to label equations 1 and 2. Then you have to make your y terms the same, so you could times this one by 2 and this one by 12, or you could just times that one by 6. I'm going to times this one by 2 and then times this one by 12 because we need to make the y term the same, because when I've made it the same then I can eliminate it. So if I times everything by 2, I'm going to have 48x minus 24y equal to 144. That now becomes my equation 3. Then I'm going to times all of this by 12, so 6 12s gives me 72x plus 2y times 12 gives me 24y, and then 12 times 33, that gives me an answer of 396, and that now becomes my equation 4. So I've made the y terms the same. Now the next step is decide whether to add or subtract the equations. So if you remember, same sign subtract, well these signs are not the same, they're different, so we're going to add them. So I need to add equation 3 plus equation 4. So I add my x's together. 48x plus 72x is going to give me 120x. Minus 24, add 24, they're going to disappear, they're going to be eliminated. And then 144 plus 396 gives me 540. And then I've just got to solve that to work out what x is. So I do 540 divided by 120. And that gives me an answer of 4.5. Then I need to, so I'm just going to write this here. I need to substitute my x back into equation 1, 2, 3 or 4. It doesn't really matter which one you pick. I'm going to use equation 2 just because it's positive and the numbers are a little bit smaller to deal with. So I know that x is 4.5, so I'm going to put x into equation 2. And equation 2 says 6x. But I know x is 4.5, so I'm going to do 6 lots of 4.5 on my calculator. 6 times 4.5 gives me 27. So I know that 6x is going to be 27 plus 2y is equal to 33. And again, now I've got an equation to solve. I need to get y on its own, so I need to get rid of the 27. So I can take 27 from both sides, which gives me 2y equal to 27 is going to disappear. Now 33, take away 27 is 6. And then I can divide both sides by 2 to give me y equal to 3, because 6 divided by 2 is 3. Okay, last question. I've got 2 right-angled triangles and there's angles involved, so this is going to be trigonometry. Trigonometry questions are more than likely going to be very close to the end of the paper. Okay, so we're asked to work out the angle x first of all, which is this angle here. You need to try and ignore this triangle in a minute and just concentrate on the triangle ABC. In fact, I'll just draw that down here for you so you don't get confused. So I've got my right angle there, A, B, C. You're trying to work out the angle x there. You're told that this is 6.5 centimeters and this is 10.4 centimeters. Okay, so first thing you need to do with trigonometry is label the sides. So the longest side is the hypotenuse. The side which is opposite the angle here is called the opposite, and then the side that touches the angle and the right angle here, this one here, is the adjacent. Then you need to write down the word SOHCAHTOA. The word SOHCAHTOA just represents 3 formulae that you need to learn. So what you need to do now is to tick off the sides that you're given. So I'm given the adjacent as 10.4, so I tick off my A's, and then I tick off the O's because I'm told that O is 6.5, the opposite 6.5, and I pick the formula which has got the 2 ticks on it, which is the TOA. So TOA stands for T for tan, so it's tan of the angle is equal to the middle letter over the last letter, so it's O over A. So tan x is going to be equal to O, which I know is 6.5, over A, which I know is 10.4. Okay, now we need to work out what x is. So I need to get rid of this tan. Well, the opposite of tan is tan to the minus 1. So I've got to do tan to the minus 1 of 6.5 over 10.4. And we can do that on your calculator. So to do tan to the minus 1 on your calculator, you press Shift, then you press the tan button because you're accessing the second function, which is above the tan key, which says tan to the minus 1. You can see that's come up on my calculator, and let's open the bracket. Then I can use the fraction button and press 6.5, use my cursor to go down to the denominator, 10.4, and then close my brackets, press equals, and that's going to give me my answer of 32 degrees. Okay. Now the last question is asking us to find the length of DE. So DE is this length here. Well, I've got the length of this side here, which is 9.4, and what I really need is this angle here. Well, I've just worked out that X is 32, and I know that this angle here is 22, so if I add the two together, that's going to give me an angle of 54 degrees. So again, if I just write out that triangle like it is there, it's a badly drawn triangle. So I've got D, E, and C. So that angle there at C is the 32 plus the 22, which is 54. And the length CE is 9.4 centimeters. So all I've got now is just another triangle to work out and use trigonometry on. So I do the same thing again, label the sides. So the side that touches the right angle and the angle that you're given is your adjacent. The side which is opposite the angle is called the opposite, and the one left over, the longest side, is the hypotenuse. So I write down SOHCAHTOA again. This time I tick off what I'm given. So I'm given H, which is the hypotenuse, and I tick off the side that I'm trying to find out, which is the opposite. And this time it's SOHA, which has got the two ticks. And SOHA stands for, S is for sine of the angle. This time the angle I know is 54, and that's equal to O over H, opposite over hypotenuse. So sine 54 is equal to O, which is the side I don't know, that's what I'm trying to work out, which is DE, over H, which is the hypotenuse, which is 9.4. Now I need to get D